Hello and welcome back to The Movies Made Us Do It. Me and Matt are back. How are you, Matt?
I'm pretty good, sir. How are you?
I'm alright. Glad we don't try and do this for anything but fun. Just, like, YouTube is just bullshit, isn't it? Like, it's an interesting situation where, like, because I just do this for a laugh. Because we said this so many times before. It's like it's nice that we've got an audience. We've got a nice little audience on Podbean, and people listen regularly. It's great, and we get the odd view on YouTube. But I'm so glad that we don't do this as a living and try and deal with YouTube. And I went onto YouTube Studio last week after the day after or something. I'd posted Hot Fuzz,
Right.
and it's been copyright claimed. The trailer, even though we talked for longer than the movie. Yeah, I know. And I was like, I don't care, right? So it's public. So I'm like, I don't care. I was never going to make money from it anyway because I don't monetize. But I'm like, God, this is the fucking... But like, imagine trying to deal with this day in, day out. I'm like, I could not. I'm so glad. It's just for a laugh. Because it's like, guys, we talked about your movie longer than the actual movie. And you're copywriting us for a public trailer? Like, really? Never mind. And I chuck all that crap in front of it as well. Crazy. But yeah, it did make me laugh. I was like, I'm glad we just do this for fun, Matt.
Yeah.
It's good.
Bike.
It's a good time. So, anyway, we're back to our usual review stuff this week. Do you want to kick us off?
Cool. Yeah. So I'll start with The Menu.
The Menu, probably the oldest film on this list. Film I've been wanting to watch for a long time. I've heard very good things about The Menu, so I'm curious what you made of it. I was tempted to watch it last night, but didn't get around to it.
Directed by Mark Millod, I think you pronounced that, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Starring Ralph Fiennes, Anya Taylor-Joy, Nicholas Hoult, Hong Chu, Janet McTeer, and it's John Leguizamo as well.
Great.
So basically,
an amazing cast.
Yeah, it's got a great cast. So we're introduced to Tyler and Margot, who are about to get on a boat to this exclusive restaurant where they've got this an exclusive collection of people that have turned up for Chef Slowick's, played by Ralph Fiennes, like stupidly exclusive restaurant, and it's guaranteed to be a special night.
Yeah.
So of course they turn up, and first of all you become aware that Margot wasn't Tyler's first choice to take with him.
Right.
He was going out with some girl, but she either she broke up with him or she didn't want to go, so he got Margot to go with him.
So she is his second choice.
Yes.
Effectively.
And immediately things become a little suspicious when they're like surprised that she's there, and they don't know why she's there, and this is wrong. She shouldn't be there.
Right.
Because she wasn't on the list.
Not part of the plan.
Yeah.
Yes.
They sort of go, okay, fine, you're okay for now. You'll be sat in the space that was set for this person, and of course, then they get shown around the island, and then you get introduced to the other complete collection of the biggest fucking douchebags and assholes. You've got John Leguizamo, who's like an actor who claims that he's a friend of the chef. He
is fantastic at playing assholes as well.
He really is. I suspect because it's a little bit because he is one. But
he maybe. I wouldn't want to say either way.
He certainly said a number of interesting things recently.
Has he? Okay.
To do with the Super Mario casting and stuff.
Oh.
Yeah.
That movie's doing well.
It really is. It's doing mental.
So did Sonic, though. So
Yeah.
Who'd have thought in 2023 Sonic and Mario would be doing so well?
I really like. I'm not so sure about the Mario movie, but I really enjoyed the Sonic movie. So
I haven't seen the second one yet, but I loved the first one. Actually, I had a really good time.
I did. I haven't seen the second one yet. No.
I'm a sucker for buddy cop. Anyway.
So yes. So he's playing this actor who's, I think he's sort of looks like his career is a bit of on the skids, and he's trying to get some sort of food-based reality show with him.
Oh God!
So he's kind of using the chef's name to try and
sure
get in there. You've got Janet McTeal's tier is Lillian, who is this food critic.
Right.
Her and her, I don't know I don't think he's a partner. He seems to be her underling, but they have these conversations about this and this and this and this and how wonderful this is, and yes, I thought that too. Oh yes, isn't this marvelous? Oh yes, I don't know. I thought it was a bit split, and you get these horrible conversations between these two. They're like, ugh. And then you've got these three blokes who they work for the guy who owns the restaurant.
Right.
Which you find out along the way. And they are the biggest dude bro assholes going. Like, you really want to, they're sort of, hey, we're important people. You know who we work for? That sort of, those people. And then you've got an older couple, Richard and Anne, who Richard seems to recognise Margot for some reason. And basically, the chef comes out and he introduces these. He claps and everybody starts, and he explains the dishes, and then they sort of eat. And Tyler, played by Nicholas Hoult, he is a complete obsessive about the food and obsessive about the chef.
Right.
His whole purpose is to be there. It seems to be just to be his sycophant, and is like, I know all about this, and I know how to do it. I know how this works. And there's this bit where he's at the chef, the counter, and one of the chefs is doing something with some wazzy gadget, and he's like, is that a such and such a gadget? And the guy says, yes, it is, sir. And he goes, I have one of those as well, I know exactly how that works. And the guy says, of course, sir. Why don't you go and sit down? And it's like, oh, God. Yeah. These people are just really, really horrible. And clearly, Margot does not belong there.
Yes.
And the chef is getting more and more agitated that she's there. And at one point, he sort of takes her away and he says, I need to know where you're going to seat you properly. I can't. And she's like, well, I don't understand what you mean. And I'm not going to get into the conversation because I don't want to spoil anything in this movie.
Sure.
But I really enjoyed it. It's, it's kind of a satire about modern life, I think, really.
Yeah.
But also about chefs and swanky food stuff, and just how awful some of the people are that are involved in that sort of thing.
Sure.
Everybody in it's great. All the performances are fantastic.
The cast is solid.
Yeah, and so Hong Chu, who this is only the second film I think I've seen her in. She was in The Whale recently that I saw, and she was amazing in that. And she's really good in this. She's like the sort of head waiter. She's just under the chef, and she's the one who sort of introduces them to things and shows them around, and she's like the way she talks to them is it's just hilarious and really straight. There's a bit when one of the courses is it's supposed to be bread with the accoutrements of bread, or the little dips, and
sure.
Only there's no bread. It's just the things.
Okay.
So the douchey guys are going, yeah, we understand all this shit, but can we get some bread? And she's like, no. And it's like, you know who I work for, right? And it's like, yes, I do. Well, you know that we're important, right? You know that we make a lot of money, and we're he goes, yes. So can we get some bread? No. It's really quite funny. And obviously, things happen that
escalate,
and I'm not going to go into too much.
No, no.
But clearly, it starts to go wrong for the guests. Let's say
yes.
And truths are revealed, and things come out, and there's stuff with the chef and his mother, who was just sat in the corner of this restaurant getting completely drunk.
Right.
and he tells them about his family and his dad, and how his dad was fucking awful, and he stabbed him with a knife, and but he didn't kill him, and it's like, but I should have, and that's not really spoiling anything, but there's this sort of weird tension with I mean, clearly the chef is a fucking nutter, and all of his staff completely follow every word he says.
Yeah,
Fiennes is amazing as this unhinged chef. He's really fucking good, but it's as I said, it's Ralph Fiennes.
Yes, it's what you expect from Ralph.
Exactly. And Natalie Joy is again stunning. Nicholas Hoult is really good at playing dicks as well. I don't know if you've seen what is it called? It's the is it The Empress? It's the Great.
I've not seen it.
The Great. So it's the series with Elle Fanning as Catherine the Great. It's one of those ones that sort of slightly annoys me because it's historically inaccurate as fuck.
Yeah.
But it is massively entertaining and really, really well done. And Nicholas Hoult plays Peter the Not So Great, and he is just the biggest douchebag. But he has this amazing way of making you like him. He just does these awful things, and you still like him. Anyway, that's in The Great. In this, he's just a dick.
No redeeming qualities here.
Yeah, he really doesn't have any redeeming qualities. He's just a complete asshole. He talks to a couple of times. He talks to Margot in a way that you think, okay, why did you bring him?
Yeah.
And obviously, things are revealed that like their relationship. It's just really well done. It's it's pretty much just in one room, really. So there's not, there's not much in the way of that. But there's some beautiful shots of interesting things. The food is obviously wanky and wazzy as fuck, and all that sort of Heston Blumenthal sort of mists and foams and all that sort of guff.
All the crap I hate.
Yeah, exactly. All the crap.
All the things I hate about
just
food.
Give me a fucking steak and
just let me eat food.
And put on a fucking plate, not a piece of slate or.
Oh yeah, that's an instant turn off.
Bit of driftwood. Thank you very much. No, just give me a plate, okay? So it sort of takes the piss out of all that, and it just I really like the way it ended. Again, I'm not going to spoil it, but I think some people might not be quite as satisfied as
I'm assuming that your satisfaction will be dependent on how much you hate these assholes.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think there's a couple of times where even the character, the chef says,
careful.
Yeah, it's a big. Got to be careful here. Let's just say I think that some people question whether, things could have happened differently, and they could have just got away, or they could have just done something. And I think that's not in the spirit of the movie, and it's also not within the realms of the characters.
Right.
I think is the. I'm not saying it's the way of getting round it, but I think it's actually true to who those people are.
Yeah.
They're clearly not the best people. So, it's really, really enjoyable. It's really darkly funny.
Yeah.
It's got some seriously dark moments, and all from there's a Ralphie just being this a really deadpan sort of matter of fact delivery that's just beautiful. It's really, really good. Really, the performances all round are just amazing, and it was just a highly enjoyable, horror comedy. It's just real fun, and it will make you if you hate that sort of pompous sort of. It kind of reminded me a little bit of Pig, only in that there's that bit in Pig, that amazing.
The restaurant scene, which is incredible.
Yeah, where he talks to the guy who used to work for him, and he says
that is an amazing. I mean, that whole film is amazing, but that scene in particular is incredible.
It reminded me of that scene where he's talking about, But obviously, I think Pig is a way better movie. But
sure.
This is a really enjoyable.
I mean, they're going for very different things, but
yes, yeah, absolutely, yeah. This is much more comedy horror based, and nowhere near as serious as that is. But yeah, it's genuinely funny, brilliant performances, really well made movie, and I thoroughly enjoyed it and highly recommend it.
Fantastic. It's been on my menu for a while. I almost watched it last night. It was one that was it's very close to being watched for me. So definitely making the list.
It's great.
Well, shall we do Operation Fortune, since we've both watched it?
Yeah, let's do it.
So Operation Fortune, directed by Guy Ritchie, and goddamn, you'll know that immediately. From 2023, starring Jason Statham, Aubrey Plaza, Josh Hartnett, and a bunch of other people. Hugh Grant,
Carrie Elwes.
Yes, Carrie Elwes, Bugsy Malone. So this was the I guess it's the new Amazon hotness. It's the Amazon seems to do these things where it's like, we've spent a lot of money on this, so I'm going to bug you about this every day of your life until you watch it. I don't know if other Prime users have that, but I get this. It's like, it's in my face all the time. So I'm like, fine. I enjoyed Wrath of Man.
Yep.
I thought that was pretty good. I know a lot of people didn't, but I quite enjoyed it.
I've not seen that one yet.
I thought it was fine. So I thought we'd give it a go. It's obviously a more comedic film. It's a comedic spy action movie. So let's start with you, Matt. What did you think?
I've seen a lot of people saying it doesn't feel like a Guy Ritchie film. It totally feels like
it did to me.
It's Guy Ritchie light.
Yes, I mean it's a comedy, so it's
yeah. I think it's certainly not got some of the edge
missing the grit stuff, for sure. But, yeah.
I actually really enjoyed it.
I am glad you enjoyed it.
I think there's a lot of stuff where you just go, okay, come on.
Yeah.
I thought it zips along. I mean, it's like 2 hours, which probably
that's interesting.
Probably could have done with.
See, I was going to say I thought it had pacing issues. That's interesting.
Oh, I thought the beginning, certainly the first sort of hour, zips along really quickly. I thought.
Fine, yeah.
I quite like the setup. I like
the setup. Yeah, the idea. So the kind of overall idea is that you've got this weapon of unknown capabilities. They don't know what it is, but it's been stolen and they need it desperately. They're terrified. So this spy outfit basically have to find it, and as part of this plot, we are introduced to Hugh Grant's character, who is like the middleman, I guess. He kind of like he's like the middleman between he's the broker. Yeah, well done. That's the word. My brain was trying to find that word. It's in there somewhere. He's the broker. But he is kind of has this big crush, like man crush, on Josh Hartnett's Danny, who is this actor.
They realise that the only way to, because we should say that this sort of they're a mercenary spy outfit. So they don't, strictly speaking, work for the government.
No, it's whoever pays them the highest.
So they've got this. They've been contracted. So Carrie Elwes seems to be their he's their sort of the boss.
Yes.
He's the guy that sorts all the contracts, and you've got Orson Fortune, played by Jason Statham, who's the sort of head operative.
Yeah.
And then you get Aubrey Plaza, who's Sarah, who's from another operation, another outfit that got left.
Yes.
So she's come to them, and there's this sort of rivalry with this other outfit.
Yes. Yeah. So we discover that Hugh Grant's broker character, Greg, is the
only way they can get to him is through basically
getting this actor.
Yeah, and it's very much like the
Nick Cage movie.
Yes, the Unbearable Talent. That one. So that you do get sort of. And it's not as good as that movie, I will definitely say that.
Sure.
Yeah, so they basically almost commandeer him to.
Yeah, he's like this big action star, does a lot of his own stunts allegedly and all of that kind of stuff. And he's kind of infatuated with him, and so it's their in, and that's kind of the conceit of the movie, is that they're getting this actor to team up with actual mercenary spies, and it kind of goes on from there.
I thought he was probably the weak link.
Josh.
And I really like Josh Hartnett.
Yes.
But I thought he was...
Because I was going to say, Josh, I didn't hate him.
No.
But I thought Hugh Grant stole the show, to be honest.
Oh, completely.
He was fantastic.
Again, talking of assholes.
Yeah, oh god.
He started playing
he's really good
asshole characters right now, and I think he's thoroughly enjoying himself playing.
Clearly having a lot of fun, and it shows he's great in this. Honestly, I don't know if you got this. I'm guessing you probably didn't. I honestly felt like, to me, and it might just be the performance, but I felt like Jason Statham could not be fucked to be in this movie. Like, he looked tired and just bored.
Like, he did feel like he was walking through it a little.
Yeah,
I will say that.
Just an observation, and obviously that may not be the case, and it may just be the direction, and that's the character they were, But he just looked like he could be bothered, and I
think that's probably a thing of the whole movie, actually.
Yeah,
that it felt a little. I mean, as much
but then
as
you've got Hugh Grant in the middle, who's really giving a performance.
Everybody else was. Well, I thought Audrey Plaza was.
She's great. Yeah,
she's usually turned up to 11 anyway.
Yeah.
So I thought she was good, but it did feel like it was sort of going through the motions more than most of the other things. However, I mean, having said that, I still really enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it. I definitely enjoyed it less than you, I think is safe to say. I thought, like, it for me failed as a comedy. For like 99% of the comedy did not hit with me.
Okay, I thought some of it,
but very little for me. I actually messaged a friend about a quarter of an hour in, and I was like, this dialogue is awful. Like, it's like I can tell you're trying really hard to be clever, and you're not. It just comes across really
I did
awkward, and like, people don't talk like this. Like, it's weird when that kind of
really talk like Guy Ritchie stuff anyway.
Well, that's true to an extent, I guess. I don't know, that it just felt super awkward here. Because there's all of the stuff at the start with Cary Elwes. His all of his lines, I'm like, God, and I know he's a capable actor, so I'm like, it's not him. It just all felt
a lot of his stuff. I even like the little
I really like him as an actor.
The Princess Bride joke I thought was quite funny when they're talking about the keys.
Yeah, that was good.
I thought that was quite good.
But there's loads of weird bits of like attempted humor that kind of don't work for me. I can't really there's weird things all through, actually. Like, this sounds like a nitpick, but there's a bunch of stuff like this. So there's like a scene where villain is running away from Jason Statham, and we cut to this scene of a woman pulling up on a moped, and she gets off the moped, takes her helmet off, puts it in the back of on the moped, leaves the moped running, and just walks out of frame with the thing running.
She doesn't leave it running. He turns it on.
Sorry?
If I remember rightly, he turns it on.
It's running. I had to rewind it. I'm pretty sure, because there were a couple of times when I rewound. I was like, really? Did that just happen? Maybe she did, and maybe I'm totally wrong there. But it looked to me like she just left it running and just walked out of scene, and then he comes along and just gets on it and starts riding it, and I was like, what the fuck? That maybe I'm wrong on that one.
Well, it did feel fun. It did feel funny and a bit cheesy, but
then there's scenes like so. Comedically, she tells Jason Statham that the front of this house that he's burgling is free of guards, and being an idiot, he goes out the back, and then they're kind of she's like, hey, usually they leave the pool, the giant pool's usually out the back, asshole. Like, you're wrong, because he starts berating her about the front not being but she picked him up from the back. So I'm like, what? like, why are you already waiting here then? Like, this is clearly where you intended him to come out. So that, you know. And then later there's a scene when Jason Statham, who, by the way, is piloting this helicopter, important point.
Yeah.
He steals this helicopter to chase the villains. And the you know, it's that part of the spy movie where your you know, ensemble cast are split, so half of them are in a car chase and half of them are in a helicopter, and he's going after them, and he goes after the villains, and the good guys come out of the tunnel in their car, and Jason Statham's there, having flown the helicopter. He has just flown the helicopter to this location. He's gonna fire the rockets, and the guy next to him is like, "Hey, do you know how rockets work?" He's like, "Yeah, of course I do. F for forward, R for rocket." And I'm like, "You flew here in this helicopter, asshole. How would you think that the button means forward?" Like,
yeah.
What the, like, it's like your joke doesn't even make sense. If he did it on the ground, like, before he took off.
I had to rewind it twice because I couldn't understand what JJ was saying.
Yeah.
I actually put the subtitles on in the end.
I actually really liked him in this movie, JJ.
I thought he was alright.
I thought he was fine. Yeah, I actually thought he was fine. But it's weird things like that. It's like weird lines of humor that, like, the setup doesn't really work for me. Or the payoff doesn't really work for me.
That was
I was
bad.
like, what the fuck? And it would have made even more... Actually, it would have made more sense if he wasn't also the pilot.
Yeah.
But it's like, you just flew it here. You know what forward is, because you flew the helicopter here.
The other thing I didn't quite understand what we needed for was... There was a couple of, like, flashback scenes, which were really weirdly unnecessary. And it's like, I know he likes doing that in his movies.
It's his thing, isn't it?
And then it flashes back to that, you know, previously, so that you got to where you're getting to.
Yeah, they do that with the mansion scene outside the mansion, actually. I was just talking about that.
Yeah,
that happens.
With the guards, how he took the guards down. And it's like, that felt completely unnecessary.
It's almost like he feels like he has to, because it's his thing.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, oh, that's what I do. So, you know, in the same way that Tarantino sometimes falls into that trap of, like, I must do this even if it doesn't really make sense, because I show you the end of the film and then, you know, that's what I do. It kind of falls into that. I didn't hate this movie. I thought like I said, weirdly, I thought the pacing was a bit off, actually, in places, personally. But yeah, I didn't hate it. I just didn't think much of it, to be honest.
I thought the beginning, at least for the first half, I thought the pacing was quite zippy. It was sort of bish bosh, get it done, move on.
Yes, there is a lot of fast moving at that point. I give you that.
I thought that was fine. I think when you get towards the sort of the end, it starts getting a little draggy.
Yeah,
when it's going to the sort of when the deal was done and it's gone wrong, and it was a bit. It's like. When the main bad guys are properly revealed, I mean, you knew who they were.
I was going to say it was the least surprising twist of all.
Yeah,
time.
it was. No, we knew who they were. It was going to be those two idiots.
Yeah,
and they were the most sort of unconvincing bad guys.
Yeah, they really were.
They were shit.
Mm.
They were pretty sort of terrible. So towards the end, it sort of lost its way a little. Like we said, it was definitely Guy Ritchie light, but it's certainly got all his, you know, hallmarks.
It's got the hallmarks. Yeah, I definitely disagree with the the argument that it doesn't feel like a Guy Ritchie movie, because it absolutely does to me.
Weirdly, I quite like The Team, and I would quite happily watch another one.
I don't hate The Team. I actually thought that Josh Hartnett actually kind of grew on me a little towards the end of the movie. I think when he's like the bits when he's with Hugh Grant, I was like, yeah, this kind of works okay now. You know, when he gives him the car and stuff, that kind of stuff worked quite well for me. But yeah, I agree. Yeah, I'd watch another movie with them in. It was just I don't know. I think it's like the action bit was fine. The comedy bit for me fell flat on his face. That's kind of, and some of the dialogue.
Yeah, it was definitely hit and miss. But I think there was a couple of lines that did make me. You know,
something did make me laugh, and I can't think what it was now. But there were a couple of jokes where I was like, okay, that was pretty good.
And you know, the action was
it's fine,
pretty good in most places.
I mean, again, it felt like Statham wasn't really, because he's one of those guys. He's basically the Josh Hartnett character. He's like, I do my own stunts and stuff. He just, kind of like, it just kind of seemed like he couldn't really be arsed. But I mean,
it was nice to see an action movie that wasn't too sort of in a studio.
Oh yeah, for sure. There
was a lot of proper locations. And,
yes.
They clearly spent money on.
It's Amazon.
shipping them around. So at least that was nice. And I think
I do feel like that's a result of now we're in the we're getting into the period where movies were filmed after COVID, and they were like, right, we can do this now, guys. Let's go out and actually actually do this. Yeah,
and I think the thing is it did, to me, it felt like a sort of a nice sort of Bondy type, parody. It felt enjoyable enough for me that I, that it was.
I wasn't bored or anything.
Yeah, exactly. I think it was. For me, it zipped along, and I quite enjoyed it on the whole. Some of the performances weren't great. Some of the performances were really quite good. So it's definitely a mixed bag. But I kind of would recommend it as just a sort of throwaway action movie.
Yeah.
For Ritchie fans, I think it would. I think it's
for sure. Yeah.
Same with Statham and that. It's fine. He is a little lackluster, but I think there are times where he looks like he's actually enjoying himself. So
yeah. Like I said, for me, it's kind of average, not terrible. Just average. It did grow on me as the film went on. Like I said at first, I was like, "Oh, this dialogue is really still awkward and bad." But it got better in terms of the dialogue. But I thought it was okay. Wow, it's actually only got a budget of 50 million according to Wikipedia.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
Center of all true knowledge in the universe.
Probably mostly went on Hugh Grant and the
Statham.
To where they were.
Yeah, you would imagine. But yes, anyway, Operation Fortune, I guess a thumbs up from you, and I'm kind of undecided if you need to pass time from me. It is short, so there is that.
It's 2 hours, actually.
Is it? Okay, well, maybe the pacing's not as bad as I thought. Maybe I should take my pacing statement back if it was actually 2 hours long. But yeah. So yes, Operation Fortune. What's next for you?
I will go with Beef. Yeah. So this is a Netflix series starring Stephen Ewan and Ali Wong. And it's basically about two people who don't know each other. You've got Danny, who is a contractor who looks kind of like he's sort of down on his luck. He lives with his brother in this little apartment. He's trying to move his parents from Korea back to America because they used to run a hotel, but from some dodgy dealings, it all went a bit wrong, and they had to move back to Korea, and he's desperately trying to make enough money to bring them back. But he's not having a good time with trying to find decent enough work. And then you've got Amy, who is a very successful gardener.
Right.
She owns this company that it's gardening for rich people. Clearly, she's married to George, who is he is the son of a Japanese furniture artist.
Okay.
And he makes these awful pots.
Right.
That Amy is trying to sell in her shop, but they're obviously no one likes them, so they're not selling. So they sort of have a strained relationship, let's say. George is he's the loveliest guy, and Amy does seem to have slight anger management issues. Anyway, what happens is during a road rage incident in which Danny and Amy nearly crash. So Danny's pulling out of this car park, and he nearly pulls out into Amy, who blows her horn, and then she gives him the finger, and he blows his top, and then he tries to chase her down.
Right.
So what then escalates over the series of them finding out who each other are and then just screwing with each other.
Okay.
In a sort of a horrible escalate. I mean, the first thing he does is he finds out where she lives and he goes to her house, saying that about the contract work and stuff like that, and then he uses her bathroom where he proceeds to pee over the entire bathroom.
Okay.
And then he runs away, and then she retaliates in a different way, and it all spirals out into their lives in different ways. You know, she gets involved with his brother, and there's a number of times where he goes to do things, but her family get in the way, and he realizes that her family are actually lovely. She's got a lovely little daughter, and her husband George is a really nice guy, but they still have this thing where they just want to damage each other.
Right. So it quite literally is a beef. That's
yes.
Okay.
It literally is. That's literally what it is.
Because I knew nothing about this movie apart from I saw the thumbnail on Netflix.
It's a series, so it's
yeah.
So it's 10 episodes of sort of roughly 30.
Sorry,
minutes.
did I say movie? Yes. Yeah.
Yes. So Stephen Ewan, obviously, we know him from The Walking Dead and stuff.
Yeah.
He's great.
I like him in pretty much everything I see him in. I think he's great.
What I like about his character is he is a really likable guy, but he's also done some horrible shit. Some of the things you find out that he's done to his brother,
right?
And you just think, wow, you really are a bit of a knob, aren't you? But you kind of see why he's done them.
Right.
I'm not saying, I'm certainly not fucking forgiving the things he's done.
No, but it always helps if you're, not that he's necessarily, I guess, a villain in this situation, but it is good when you can, even if you disagree with someone, you can see their motivations.
Yeah.
That helps.
He's constantly trying to do the good things.
Yeah.
But he ends up doing bad things to get them.
Sure.
So he's
one of those ends justify the means.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah. He does some stupid things in, once he's got a cousin who's just come out of prison, and that he gets involved with him, and obviously certain things happen within that relationship that go terribly wrong, and again he makes these stupid decisions. And with Amy, she has family hang-ups. She has these sort of, she really does have these anger issues with, and her husband he's so nice. He's annoyingly nice. You do kind of want to slap him slightly, because he keeps saying these, we should do these therapies, and we should do this, and you just think, for God's sake, dude, just But they're obviously, they're having problems, and
sure,
and she's having problems dealing with these issues. And again, she's a damaged woman who she's kind of trying to do her best as well. She kind of wants to sell her company so that she can spend more time with her family. But through what happens with the way this company works, the people that want to acquire the company, it's what was her name? It's Jordan, played by Maria Bello, who's this a real douchey rich woman. Who wants to buy the company, but she wants her to stay on for 5 years.
Right.
So it's the choice of whether, you get shitloads of money to continue your life the way it's going, or you don't, and you don't get the money, but you might have a better family life.
Yes, yeah.
So you have these sort of things, meanwhile, while they're doing these underhanded things against each other. Ali Wong, I've seen one or two of her stand-up things. I've not seen her in a lot of stuff. She was a complete surprise to me. There are certain scenes where she's talking about her family, and she's talking about her parents and things. Her performance is amazing. you're right, sort of with her on her every, listening to her every sort of thought, and it was a tremendous performance. Really, really, really good. I was completely. I mean, like I said, I've not seen her enough, I guess, to sort of know. But
sure,
she was a complete revelation to me, and I thought her part was really. Stephen Yeun again he's a great actor that I think hasn't been in enough stuff.
Agreed.
He really should be, cast in more things because he's wonderful.
He is.
The whole cast is great. The idiot, his brother and his cousin and stuff. They're all like great little performances. But it's a thoroughly enjoyable series. It's so well written, and I think that the characters are incredibly they're complicated characters, but they're also you want to be with them. You want to find out what's going to happen to them. And as it escalates and goes completely out of control towards the end, and I'm not going to spoil anything, but I genuinely was like, fucking hell, I need to know what's going on, what happens.
Yeah.
And there's a few times where you see some things coming, but I don't think it spoils it. I think it just emphasizes it. It goes along. You just go with it. It's really really good series. I highly enjoyed it. Highly recommend it. It looks, hopefully, I mean, it's Netflix, so, but hopefully it will get a second season, because I'd love to see where it goes from the end. But yeah, it's really, really brilliant little show. I really enjoyed it.
Awesome. Yeah, I saw it was on Netflix, and then I saw it was a series, and I was like, I don't have time, because I was going to watch some. Last night, I was like, I need to watch something ahead of today, so that I've got two things to talk about rather than just one. I almost watched it, but it sounds really fun, and great cast. It looks good.
Yeah, I kind of sort of just started it on a whim, really. It was sort of I just found something interesting to watch, and I pretty much sat and watched the whole thing.
That's great. How many episodes are there?
10.
Okay. Well, that's a reasonable sit then,
So yeah, I mean, I sort of, I did split it once, but I sat and almost watched the whole thing in one. I watched it in two goes, and it was I was completely hooked.
Excellent. Well, less than an hour ago, I got back from seeing John Wick 4, so this is a super fresh in my mind review. Obviously starring Keanu Reeves, Bill Skarsgård joining the cast, obviously Lawrence Fishburne. Lance Reddick might be his final movie. I'm not sure if he's filmed anything else. Obviously Ian McShane.
One of them, yeah.
Yeah. Donnie Yen, Hiroyuki Sanada.
They certainly piled on the cast for this one, didn't they?
They certainly did, but it's supposedly the final chapter as it's been built, so you would expect an escalation.
They're doing 5, aren't they?
I don't know. Certainly this film feels like the end of a story. If they do a 5th, I hope they do it with different characters, to be honest, because this kind of feels like okay, this is fine. This is a nice way to kind of cap off those first 4 films, maybe do something somewhere else. I don't know. Well, I guess we'll see. It's certainly not impossible for them to do more if they really wanted to. It just kind of feels like the story's come to a nice end here. Yes, so the cast has been, increased dramatically. I was surprised Halle Berry's character is not in this, actually, but she is not.
Really? I didn't realise. I thought she was.
No, they've replaced her with someone else who has a dog instead, which is a bit of an interesting choice. I was like, hey, he's like could be the same kind of, he's played by what is his name? What is their name? Shamir Anderson. He's a Canadian actor. I'm not sure if I've seen him in anything until now. Oh, he was in Invasion. But he plays Mr. Nobody, who is another... And to be critical, probably completely unnecessary character in this film. There's a lot of hitmen in this film, as there always are in John Wick movies.
I mean, that's the established everybody's a hitman.
But we have this, we have this terrific setup with Donnie Yen's character, who we'll get to in a minute. He is like the primary bad guy. Well, not really, quote unquote bad guy. You know how it is in John Wick movies. They're hitmen and they're facing off against each other, but they're friends, and it's the standard John Wick fare is very much in play here. But you'll be pleased to know Donnie Yen, who I think has consistently, with a few exceptions, been screwed by Western cinema and always ends up with bit parts and cameos, has a massive role in this film, and I loved it.
Dies off screen.
Yeah, oh god, Highlander Endgame, fuck off. Dude, he's great in this. He's so good, and he's got loads of screen time. It made me very happy.
He's like Toichi, isn't he?
Yeah, he is a blind assassin. And friend of John Wick's. He basically, so the opening of the movie, I won't obviously spoil too much, but the opening of the movie, John Wick has basically healed up. The undisclosed period of time for him to heal up from his injuries from John Wick 3 when he was shot off the roof of the hotel. No, the hotel.
How he fucking survived that.
Well, it's John Wick, and that's one of those things we can talk about in a bit as well. He's healed up. He's been hanging out with Lawrence Fishburne's character, who I also really love. He's become a favorite of mine. And basically,
it's probably just because it's Lawrence Fishburne, and Lawrence Fishburne is charming as fuck.
Oh, and he just seems to have such a great time in that role as well. He seems to be having a real good bit of fun. But basically, shortly after getting out of, shortly after healing up, he heads to Morocco and he kills the elder, who's like, he's above the table. So he's like the big boss. And as a result of that...
Does his ring back?
Sorry?
Does he get his ring back?
No.
Okay.
He's told that you can't get your ring back, and you'll only find peace when you die, and that's where you are. You're screwed. That's it.
Okay.
So he kills him, and as a result, the Marquis, played by Bill Skarsgård, is basically given power, almost unlimited power, by the High Table. The High Table are kind of the ruling. I don't know, the ruling guard of the hitmen worldwide has been established in John Wick, that everyone's a hitman. They're above that. And he's given like ridiculous powers to basically bring down John Wick. And to do that, he decides he's going to close the Continental in New York and bring in Winston and Charon. And basically anyone that John Wick has had contact with, they're going to, sort out, remove from the picture, so that there's only, basically wherever John Wick goes, he'll be known as poison. Because, they can't martyr him. Yeah, they want to martyr him. They want to make sure that everyone also knows that John Wick is bad, and you don't want John Wick around. And that's where Hiroyuki Sanada comes in. He runs basically the Continental in Tokyo. Yeah, it's in Tokyo. I was just trying to check which city it was. Obviously, it's in Tokyo. So basically, as part of that, Donnie Yen's character, he is much like John Wick. He retired. He got out. And he got out, and he's got an estranged daughter that he's not allowed to go near because it's too dangerous for her to know, for them to be close, because he doesn't want anyone to kill his daughter. He is basically brought back in to the fold to take out John Wick, and basically he's told, like, you and your daughter can be happy forever, protected by us, if you kill John Wick. So he's basically forced to fight his friend, even though, he doesn't really want to. And the film goes on from there. So this is a long movie. It's 169 minutes of action and gunfights. The pacing is fantastic. You'll be pleased to know it does go by pretty quick. It kind of a little bit in the middle, sort of dragged a little bit, and I did feel like there were, certainly, I think Donnie Yen's character is such that I didn't really feel like I needed Shamir Anderson's character. Right. Now, saying that, I actually really liked his character in the film. I actually thought he was a good character, and I was almost like at the end, I was like, you could do a movie with him, and I'd probably be quite happy seeing him in a movie of his own. Really, it's just in here. It's like, oh, we've already got Donnie Yen and a bunch of other. We got Bill Skarsgård going on, and there's all of this stuff going on, and it kind of felt like he's there, but he's not all that important really to the plot. Right. He's basically like for the first half of the movie, he's basically kind of like saving John Wick because he's like, you're not worth enough yet. Like, I'm waiting for your bounty to get high enough before I kill you. That's kind of his thing. And he's got this dog, and he's got a really cool, fun relationship with his dog and stuff, and that's all great. But yeah, it just overall, it kind of felt like he's not. You could remove that character from the film, and it wouldn't really make a difference to the film. But I do really like his character, so I'm kind of torn on that front.
How was Scott Adkins' character?
Scott Adkins is fine. He plays an absolute arsehole. He's very, he knows his martial arts. He's actually a pretty good fighter and stuff. Yeah. And, it shows he's an asshole, but he's very good at being an asshole. Isn't he? Sorry?
He's in a fat suit in this one, which is what I was kind of.
Oh no, sorry. I was thinking of someone else. Sorry, yes. In the fat suit. I think he plays a character in and out of fat suit though.
Oh really? Oh, okay.
Yeah, because he also plays the henchman. I'm sure he does. Yeah, I think he plays the henchman as well. So there's like a head henchman.
Right.
Or maybe not. Maybe he doesn't.
He plays somebody called Killer, apparently.
Yeah. Now Killer is the head of the German table, and he is in a fat suit, and it's incredible. He does take some. I mean, God, some of the stunts in this film look amazing. I don't know how much of it's CG and how much of it isn't. It's hard to say these days. But I thought he also played the henchman, and maybe I'm wrong there. Maybe he doesn't. Because basically, Bill Skarsgård's got this guy who basically backs him up. He's like muscle that backs him up, and I thought that was Scott Adkins as well. But maybe he's not.
I haven't seen it, so I don't know.
Yeah, you'll have to let me know. I thought it was him, but maybe it's not him. Not sure. Oh no, hang on. It's Marco. Sorry, no, it's not. Marco Agard is the guy who is the Marquis' right-hand man. So there you go. It wasn't Scott Adkins. But yeah, no, he's great in the fat suit, and it's an amazing scene. He plays again a thoroughly unlikable character, and you really want to see John Wick kill him, so that works. I would say, above all else, watching this movie has some of the best lighting and use of color and cinematography I've seen in an action movie like in a long time. This movie is gorgeous, and obviously it's the same director as the previous John Wick movie, so he's a good director. He's a good visual director.
I actually think he's certainly got an eye.
Oh, he does, and of course he was a stuntman for years, so he's got that knowledge as well.
He was stuntman, wasn't he?
He was, yeah, weirdly. I guess that's probably where they gained a bit of a friendship and trust. But it's a gorgeous looking movie. The use of color, I mean, like it's one of those movies where everything's neon, everything's incredibly well lit, incredibly cinematic. There's some fantastic scenes where we get a gunfight brawl above the walls, where you've got the camera kind of panning across the walls, so you kind of see through into different rooms as they move and stuff. Fantastic direction, fantastic use of color and lighting. It will make sense once you've seen it. It's just gorgeous. The framing is amazing in this movie. So it's a sight to behold, and it really does keep you going for the entire length of the movie. The performances are fine. Obviously, Ian McShane is always good. We've got the addition of Clancy Brown here, who I don't think was in the previous movies. He's great. Always good to see Clancy Brown. Hiroyuki Sanada is fantastic as the head of the Continental. He obviously has a smaller role, but he's fantastic in the role he's in when he's there. The only issue really that this film has for me, and it's not much of an issue, it's just that it's a very long string of action scenes.
Yeah.
And it does kind of get a bit fatiguing towards the end.
Okay.
But it does kind of while that may be the case, it's never bad. Like when I say it gets fatiguing, it's because while I am just watching a prolonged gunfight for like 3 hours, gunfight, knife fight for 3 hours, but or not for 3 hours actually. The opening actually has quite a bit of, you know, there it does take its time a little bit to begin with, but once it kicks off, it is like a good, let's say, 2.5 solid hours of fighting. Yeah. But every action set.
There have certainly been movies before where we've seen where we've, you know, as much as we both adore action movies.
Yeah.
There are certain movies where you're like, okay, can we just sit and have 5 minutes, please?
Yeah, could we have a minute or two? And there are brief reprieves, but for the most part, you're going from one action set piece to the next. And the thing that kind of saves that is that those action set pieces are amazing. They're incredible. And they do spice it up a little where they're like, okay, now we're going to have a car chase. You know, just as you're getting fed up with or not fed up, but fatigued with the gunfight and stuff, you get the car chase. And then we've got this fantastic scene or group of scenes running up the steps at the end. He has to go up this ludicrous number of steps to get to where there's going to be something that I can't talk about. But he has to go up a really long staircase, and there's an amazing fight scene out there, out in the outside, running up this ridiculous number of steps. And obviously, you know, with a John Wick movie, he's running up 1,000,000 steps. You know, he's getting kicked back down all of those fucking steps. And you know what I mean? It's just, you know, John Wick takes all of the punishment you expect. He gets hit by cars. He should break his back on numerous things. And the John Wick effect issue, if you have an issue with it, I understand if you have an issue with it, of like what things do what damage at any given time entirely depends on what they want from whatever scene. Like, it, you know,
I did see a couple of reviews that said he really should be dead 5 times over in this movie.
But I think the same with the last one, even though two.
I think, you know, they're ridiculous movies. Clearly,
they are, of course. I mean, to be honest, the first movie is like he should have died at least a couple of times there, or at least been in no fit state to fight again.
Continue, yeah.
And the same with the second and the third. I mean, like you said, how on earth did he survive? You know, because I assumed like if he survived 3, he would have life-altering injuries. Like,
he's slightly wonky.
Yeah. I mean, he does look a bit like when, I don't know if that's just the way Keanu Reeves runs now, but he does run a bit broken. Like, you know. Just kind of got that Jackie Chan-ness about him, you know, where he looks like he's, you know, broken too many bones.
Put back together.
Yeah. But honestly, overall, this is a fantastic, if it ends up being a send-off to the character, it's a fantastic send-off to the character. It's a fantastic cap on the first 4 films. And you know, the stakes are ludicrous, and the amount of fighting is ludicrous, and I couldn't, like, if you asked me to list the fight scenes now, I probably couldn't, because there were just so many. But they're all visually distinct from one another. They're all stylish as hell, and they're all incredibly well shot and lit. And that's another thing that kind of saves it, actually, is that each one is kind of filmed differently. So it's not like you're watching the same, you know, like John Woo. We love John Woo, but you know, you watch, you watch some of the gunfights in his films, and they're all the same. It's the same style you're going to see throughout. They do vary it quite a bit over the course of this movie, so that helps a lot. But overall, I really don't have much to complain about here. I thought it was great. I think if you've gone along with the conceit of John Wick, that it's ludicrous and everyone's a hitman, and and Keanu Reeves can take a ludicrous amount of punishment. And you know, the argument I had with the Batman would still be prevalent here if this was in any way realistic. You know, if you get shot by a bullet, I don't care if you're wearing Kevlar suit or not, you're going down.
Yeah.
And he does kind of when the plot requires it, he kind of shrugs off bullets with his suit of Kevlar, which is an awesome. Because I do love the Kevlar suit; it's an awesome conceit.
Yeah.
And it's a great visual, but it is very silly. So I think if you've come, because the first one is kind of ridiculous, but at the same time you're like it's they get away with it.
Oh, it gets amped up as it goes along. I mean, the first.
But you're like at the end, he's broken and he's just limping off with his dog, and you're like, okay, that was ridiculous, but I can kind of accept that maybe he's just broken now, but he's done, and that's it. From the second one onwards, it's so ludicrous that you either went with it or you didn't. There was that moment, and I pinpoint that moment in the John Wick series, and it's the moment when the sumo wrestler gets involved. when they make the phone call and like literally everyone on every street is a hitman, and you're like, okay, at this point you're either okay with this or you're not. And I went with it, and I've had fun ever since. And I thought this was equally if not more fun. I think it's hard to say when you've just left the cinema, because you know that bias, and then it will come down over time. But I think honestly I preferred this to the last two. I think.
Oh, okay.
I think like the first one and then this one might be my second favorite, but I did just walk out of it, so that could change. You know when you've just seen a film you enjoy, you're like, it's the best film ever, and then a couple of days later you're like, well, actually, you know. But yeah, visually stunning, long movie, but paced very well for the most part. Didn't feel that long. Didn't feel like a 3-hour movie. Absolutely fantastic. Highly recommend John Wick 4. Chapter 4. Sorry, I knew there was a subtitle, but I was like, what is it actually called? John Wick Chapter 4. Yeah, highly recommended. So, what else have you watched?
I have also seen Luther: The Fallen Sun.
Yes, the Netflix movie based on sequel to the series.
Yeah. So, I think I've mentioned before, I was kind of into minds about this because I was.
You have said before, yeah.
Last season. The last season really did sort of. There was a number of decisions she made, which I thought were just a bit annoying. There were a number of overall that last season was a bit disappointing, and I think I almost couldn't forgive him for what he did to Alice, even though she's a horrible murderer and a lunatic. I absolutely adore the character of Alice,
right?
And he kind of he you know. When they got together, she said to him, "Just don't ever lie to me," and he fucking does. And it all goes tits up from there. And they killed Benny off as well, which really fucking pissed me off.
So were they always intending to do this movie, or did Netflix come along with money and just like, hey, we're making a movie now? Because it kind of sounds like that last season was like trying to maybe tie things up. I don't know.
I think they've been trying to do a movie since about the second season, I think.
Oh, okay.
So they've talked about it quite a lot. I don't know whether whether it was a case of they just could never get it quite right, or whether it was up until now when Netflix did step in and say, here's lots of money, make a movie. I don't really know, but I bit the bullet and thought, fuck it, I'm going to watch it because I still like, Idris Elba's still great, and Andy Serkis is playing the bad guy, and I thought, fuck it, let's give it a chance, see how it goes. So basically, you've got the John Luther character. It kind of pretty much slots in straight after the last season, and Andy Serkis' character, who is clearly an insane murderer. He's got this big plan coming, and Luther he sees Luther as a threat to that, so he makes some calls and says, I want him gone, I want him off the board. So that's what happens. A load of stuff comes out on Luther, because he's a maverick. He doesn't play by normal rules, and
he's an 80s cop. You can't be an 80s cop
he
nowadays.
He kind of is in the series, and that's why we love him, because he's
sure, yeah.
He's a bit vicious, and
So him going in prison and stuff, which is in the trailer.
Yes.
That is a result of this film. That's not the end of the last season.
Well, to be honest, it should have been.
Okay, right, okay. Because I've never watched the series, or I've watched bits of it, but not enough. So I wasn't sure when I saw the trailer. I was like, oh, is that a spoiler for the show, or is that something that's...
My memory of the last season is a little hazy as it got along, but if I remember rightly, he just walks away.
Right.
But I think he throws his coat off and walks away. But it looks like they sort of didn't... I don't know whether they sort of ignored that, or whether they just thought, no, we'll carry on as we are, sort of thing.
Right.
So, and all this stuff comes out about him, and he ends up in prison. And then while he's in prison, he gets taunted by Andy Serkis's character. And obviously he plans his escape, and he comes out, and then you've got the Cynthia Erivo's character, who is now in charge of sort of basically his old unit. And she's running this investigation to do with some missing people. And then you've got Schneck, who was sort of in charge of Luther, and now he's sort of, they've basically retired him, but obviously the Odette character, that she's gone to him to help try and capture Luther. She obviously wants him out of the way as well, because she sees him as a bad copper. So you've got this thing, and then you've got Andy Serkis is basically he's building up this. He's got all these people that he's kind of captured from all over the world. He's got missing people from all over the world, and he's got sort of he uses people by getting information. Getting their dark secrets, and then saying to them, "Oh, if you don't meet me at such and such a place, I'll tell your mum or your wife or whatever that this is what you've been up to." So that's how he traps people, and how he gets the hold of them, and how he keeps them. His overall plan is not really a spoiler. Is basically he's starting a red room.
Right.
So he's basically starting this. He's got this sort of website where you can come and watch people get murdered, and you can, pay to see, to choose the way in which they're murdered, sort of thing. That's kind of what the overall thing is, and obviously, Luther is there to try and to stop this from happening. It's 2 hours. It felt a little long, but then I think also it probably could have been better if it was actually a series. If they would have just done it as a series instead of doing it as a movie. If they'd done it in a couple of parts, it probably would have worked better, I think.
Yeah.
Luther is Idris is fine. He's almost like the Statham thing. It does feel like he's walking through it a little.
Okay.
At times it felt a little lackluster. It felt like Luther light, if it didn't feel like it was put together as well as the series usually is. It felt a little bit sort of a little lackluster in its execution. Andy Serkis is great as the bad guy. He's a vile individual, human being who has just done terrible things and is continuing to do terrible things. And it kind of works, because Andy Serkis is a good actor, and he does it pretty well. As you definitely want him captured, you want him to be stopped. So he's really doing his job. It was okay. You could probably do without it if you love the series. I don't think it's going to be it's not a thing that you need to see.
Are they continuing with the series after this, or is this
I don't know. Honestly, well, do I spoil it? No, I won't spoil what happens at the end, but I will say they could definitely continue it.
Okay.
It's a little spoily, but yeah, they could in maybe a slightly different format.
Okay.
I think it's what they plan on doing. I think if I'm saying I don't know whether it's whether the continuation is whether how well it does, because I think it's done pretty well on Netflix so far. I think.
Right.
But, it's Netflix. You can't fucking tell what.
Yeah, I mean, all of that stuff's generally kept private, isn't it? It's just difficult to say.
Shit, whim. So who knows? I guess if they continue, I probably would watch it. But then I guess that's probably just a loyalty to Idris Elba's the character and to him, as opposed to actually whether I would want to enjoy it or not. I don't know. You know what I mean? It's whether it's a case of whether I'm just doing it out of loyalty or whether I'm. It doesn't do anything damaging. Is the last season, so that's fine. It's an okay movie. It just feels like a very long episode of Luther, I guess, but just not as well. So I guess I would sort of recommend it to a certain degree. If you've seen Luther, then why not? I guess.
Sure, yeah, you've come this far. Yeah.
If you haven't seen Luther, then I wouldn't bother.
Okay, well, I intend to watch the series anyway. It's one of those,
I recommend the series. I think the series up until the last one is really fucking good. It's really good, really great series up until that last one. The relationship between Idris Elba's to Luther and Alice is one of my favourite awful sort of destructive relationships in a series. It's just so good, and that's what's the actress's name? Ruth Wilson, who plays Alice. She is phenomenal at playing a likable psychopath.
Yeah.
Okay, I suppose mileage probably varies, but I think
it worked for you.
Certainly worked for me. I mean, she's a wonderful, psychopath. The first couple of seasons are just stunning television. As I said, as it goes on, it might lessen, but it's not an awful movie. It's just fine.
Yeah, well, that's that's something. Like I said, it's a series I've always wanted to watch. It's always been on my list, so
it's a great series.
I'll certainly get around to the series, and to be honest, I kind of feel like if you've gone this far, you might as well watch the movie too, right?
That's kind of what I figured in the end. It was like, even though I was disappointed with how the series ended, I think, fuck it, I'll carry on with it.
Yeah. Cool. Well, that is it for what we've watched. Is there anything else you want to talk about?
There's a couple little things that just tickled my fancy. The Scott Pilgrim anime has been confirmed that the entire cast will be returning.
I was pleased to see the whole cast returning.
Yes.
I'm quite excited for this, actually.
So the details are still a bit sketchy, whether it's going to be a continuation of the movie or whether it's going to be a set around it or what, but everybody's involved, so I'm really looking forward to that. I think it's going to be, hopefully it's going to be great. Paddington 2 has confirmed that it will be shooting shortly.
3.
It is Paddington in Peru.
Paddington 3?
Yeah.
I thought you said 2. Sorry.
Did I?
I thought you did. Maybe you didn't. I thought you said 2.
Sorry.
But yeah, Paddington 3, I'm excited. Yeah. I adore both Paddington movies. Somehow they made a sequel that I think might actually be better than the first one. I love both.
I think that the second one is definitely made by the this again scene chewing Hugh Grant.
Yes, agreed.
And, the other and the introduction of Knuckles and the other criminals is just Yeah, really good. I mean, this is interesting to see what they're going to do with this. I don't think
he's going to be a hot fucking bear.
Yeah.
Although I guess that's not really much of an issue in CG Bearland, but
yeah,
just saying.
It's going to be written by the same.
That's the key thing.
Crew.
It needs the same cast and crew. It needs the same charm.
Yeah, it's got a different director though. So the Douglas Wilson, I think, is just going to be directing this one, and I think it's going to be his first feature.
Okay.
As director, but I'm still hopeful.
Oh, me too. I'm after the first two, 100% can't wait.
Yeah, and this is I thought was an interesting one. So Adam Driver is in talks with Michael Mann to play the younger version of De Niro's character in a sequel come prequel to Heat. So the book apparently came out a while ago. I didn't realise that. So there is a sequel book that came out a while ago, and apparently Mann said he always planned to do the sequel. So
okay, well if it was always planned,
that's what he says.
Fair enough.
I don't know, but
I'm kind of when you revisit a classic, it concerns me, and then I'm like, oh god, and it's going to be everyone's fucking son, and it kind of in your head you're like this I can badly write this, and I hope they don't. But Adam Driver, that's really good casting. I really rate Adam Driver.
I do.
So I'm down with the casting.
I mean, it's going to be like that sort of Godfather-y type thing where you
and that's fun. That works.
Stuff and the situation. The only problem that I can see is apparently in the book one of the main characters is Val Kilmer's character.
Yeah, I'm not sure
because he's kind of the only real survivor, isn't he?
Well, yeah, that's kind of the thing that I think makes everything a little awkward, to be honest. I guess we'll see what they do.
Yeah. But I trust Michael Mann. He's a brilliant fucking director.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So hopefully he can pull that one off. Because I think Heat is a brilliant movie.
I really enjoy Heat. I haven't watched it for a while, but
it's one of those movies that I really didn't want to watch because I'm not the biggest De Niro fan, and I can sometimes take or leave Pacino, but it actually came out on.
It is. I think you go one or two ways with Heat. I enjoy Heat, but I know a lot of people that just complain it is nothing but shouty. It is definitely when Pacino is in I'll just shout all the time mode.
My mate took me for my birthday, and I was like, "This is my birthday, dude. I don't want to see this."
And it turned out quite good.
Completely was enraptured. It was really, really, really.
I really like it.
So yeah, I'm more than happy to see, even though that it's kind of it's a remake of what's the other one called?
I don't know.
Because there's a movie that they did before, which was exactly the same, I think, and I can't remember what it's called.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
But yeah, so I'm willing to give it a go.
Yeah, absolutely. And solid casting, if nothing else. So
yeah. That's kind of it for my little bits and pieces. Want to talk about any trailers or anything?
We can talk about the trailers. There was a trailer for Indiana Jones and the Dial of Bullshit.
Yeah.
And weird. It's weird. They're just showing the same scenes again. This trailer is comprised of the exact same scenes that the previous trailer was comprised of. You just see more of the same scenes. So there's a lot of this movie that they're not showing.
More indie in this one.
Sorry?
There was more indie in this one and less of her.
Yeah. It just just an observation that the bits we're seeing are the same bits. It's the same scenes. Like there's only 2 or 3 scenes that were in the teaser trailer, and this trailer is comprised of those same scenes. From what I can see, it's just more of the same scenes. So there's a massive portion of this movie we're seeing nothing of, which I guess is possibly a good thing.
I kind of just want it to go away.
I have zero interest. I got to be honest. I after Crystal Skull, I was like, he's too old to play Indiana Jones, and I don't need this in my life, and I didn't like Crystal Skull particularly. This one even more so. I don't know why. I am willing to eat crow if I'm wrong here. I don't know why people are still trying to deny the fact that this film clearly has time travel. Like, clearly. It's clearly time travel.
But the thing is it sounds like they've done so many reshoots.
Well, maybe they've reshot it out. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't even know whether they know what the fucking movies.
Well, I feel like the trouble is that the at least the rumored ending leaked, right?
Yeah.
And it was met with such vitriol that they reshot it. And and I have this theory that it is time travel and that there is time travel in this movie.
Yeah.
But they're scared to say that there's time travel, because if they out and out say there's time travel, then people will assume the ending that leaked is happening.
Yeah.
And I think they're trying to like I don't think they're going to go with that ending even if they had done it originally. I think they've gone away from that. They've reshot it and it's different now. But I think they're scared to say, "Oh, we're doing time travel," because that was a rumor as well, and then at that point it snowballs and they're like, "You're doing that ending. Fuck this movie." But we'll see. I mean, it's got a good cast. I just don't have any interest in seeing either really old Indiana Jones or de-aged Indiana Jones.
I mean, I will say the de-aging looks pretty good.
It does when you see Indiana Jones doing very short reaction shots in a trailer. I just question. It may be great the whole way through. I just question how good it will look in motion when we see it a lot.
Yeah.
Assuming we see it a lot. But it, I don't know. It feels like there's something missing. Can't put my finger on what, but there's just I don't know. It's so unnecessary.
Yeah.
Guys, Last Crusade was the best send off you could have given these characters. Just stop. They ride off into the sunset.
I'm one of the few people I know that actually doesn't mind the Crystal Skull so much. And I know.
Yeah, I like bits of Crystal Skull.
Deeply unpopular view.
There's bits of it I like.
But for me, just the fact they brought Marion back just really warms my heart. And
yeah, it's good to see Marion.
There's lots of. I mean,
look, got Salah in this one, right? So
there's some terrible fucking things in that movie. I am not denying that, but I kind of enjoyed it for what it is. It's got some nice little, things in it, and I kind of like the sort of the slightly bumbling, getting too old for this shit, indie. At times it works quite well.
If you liked it when he was in his 60s, you're gonna love it now he's in his 80s.
Fucking 80. It's like, how? It's like, no, come on.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a fucking disaster. I really do.
Maybe it'll be great. I don't know. There is some positive sounding stuff. They are not embargoing reviews, apparently.
Okay.
So that in itself says they're reasonably confident about it.
We'll see when it comes out, won't we?
I mean that does show some confidence. I don't know. I have no interest in seeing this movie. I hope it's good. And if it is, I will eventually watch it, but I certainly am not going to the cinema to see this.
So I guess from one disaster to the next disaster. Star Wars.
Star Wars. The Star Wars announcements. Star Wars Day. The Star Wars. I want to call it a conference. Is it a conference? The Star Wars conference celebration
of the death of Star Wars.
The Star Wars PowerPoint presentation took place.
Star Wars.
Yeah, the Star Wars PowerPoint presentation took place in London.
Have you seen the merchandising that they're selling?
No.
They've got these little.
The only thing I've seen is the trailers, and I saw the Ahsoka trailer, and I have seen an announcement.
Yeah, well, I saw some Chewie dolls from
okay.
Oh my god, they look like like the worst Chinese knockoffs I've ever seen. They're
Oh,
awful.
really?
And this is like official merchandise. I don't know what's going on with Disney's merchandising wing, but they are totally dropping.
Well, I mean, maybe if they're not as popular, the big companies will be like, no.
Well, that seems to be the selling point for this next one, isn't it? It's going to be Rey and Chewie.
Oh, is that the plot?
Mm-hmm.
It's Rey and Chewie.
It'll be Rey and Chewie.
Yeah.
R2.
Well, this is the thing, right? This has always been my thought with Star Wars when they brought it back, is that you're never going to kill off the ones in suits, right? Because you can keep them forever. So Chewie, R2, C-3PO.
Yeah.
They're around forever because we can recast them. We can shove someone else in the suit. That's fine.
They've already recast Chewie, haven't they?
Of course. So like cynical me watching those Star Wars sequels, I was like, well, they're definitely not, because there is a scene in the last bullshit movie they did where Chewie is. They think he's dead. Like they kill him for like 5 seconds and then immediately tell you that he's fine. So it was a completely pointless scene. One of many in a fucking long sequence of completely pointless scenes that make up that fucking piece of shit film. But yeah, so they did that, and I was like, he's not dead because they'll shove someone else in that suit forever. Like Chewie's around forever. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
And so is R2, and so is
R2 and Chewie. They don't exactly speak, do they? So you don't.
No, you don't even need voice actors there.
No. With C-3PO, it's a little more difficult.
Oh, he'll do the AI voice thing, surely.
Yeah, exactly. You just do what they did with Vader. Run it through their computer or whatever it is
I hope they improve that, because Vader sounds awful.
Yeah, it was a bit
awful. Like the pitch and tone was like always off. It just sounded weird. Like I'm sure it'll improve, but yeah. So the Ahsoka trailer, I saw it and I was like, okay. I mean, I don't know. I liked Ahsoka in Rebels and Clone Wars and stuff. I have no interest in watching Star Wars ever again.
No,
I don't care. And it looks fine. I said to my housemate, I was like, it looks like a fine trailer if that's what you want.
Other people, I don't know whether it was the drinker that said it or whether it was like Nerdrotic or anything, but they said, and exactly what I picked up on when I was watching the trailer was, why is everybody have a fucking monotone? Why is everybody just delivering their lines like they're talking like this?
Because they're all AI.
There is a great darkness coming.
They're all AI.
Be very careful.
It's like the AI machine talking.
I mean, Jesus Christ. I mean, I know, Jedis aren't supposed to be full of emotion and shit, but for fuck's sake, come on. Nothing's stopping the Sith from having emotion.
I like Rosario Dawson as an actress.
I do.
And I haven't seen her as Ahsoka, but, well, I mean, I've seen her in trailers. But I'm sure she'll do a great job because she is great.
Well, she was in was it 1 episode, 2 episodes? I've seen her in The Mandalorian. She was actually pretty good.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But that trailer did nothing.
Right. Yeah. I saw the trailer. I thought it looked, it was at least earnest and they were doing things. So, cool.
They've announced
Rey is a bizarre one. Like that character. They took that character from the dizzying heights and promise you had with that first movie.
All 3 of those characters that were introduced in that first movie could have been really interesting characters.
That movie is a nothing movie, right? It's just a reset. And it was kind of like, even at the time we were like, it's an apology and a reset for the prequels, and that's fine. And it was all based on the promise to come. Like it's a weird thing where the sequels to that movie made that movie retroactively bad and worse.
Yeah. Because
nothing happens in that movie. It's all set up, and then the payoff never happens, and all the characters get shit on. Finn. I really liked the character of Finn, and they ruined that, and they ruined Rey.
And done so much with Finn.
Oh my god,
so interesting. And it just felt
and Rey. I really liked Rey in The Force Awakens. I thought Rey was fine, but by the time you get to Rise of Skywalker, they've just there is no, to my mind, there is no retrieving that character from the toilet they've put it in.
Yeah,
I just don't see how.
No.
But I guess it's interesting to think there are kids that the sequel trilogy is their Star Wars. So maybe maybe a lot of people will go see it and it'll be fine. I'm certainly not going to be one of them. I don't have a boat in this race.
No,
I don't care anymore. Either way, so do what you want.
The other thing they're talking about is doing a movie about the origins of the Force and the first Force users, and you think, well, Disney,
if you can trust anyone to do that, it's Disney.
Yeah, they're going to do a really balanced.
They will do a bang-up job of that.
That's going to be great. Christ.
I'm sure it will be fantastic.
Yeah. Oh,
it's an interesting thing. I think as a property, Star Wars is the death of entertainment for me. I've gone from as a kid loving Star Wars to now I won't watch anything Star Wars. I don't care if Andor's apparently very good. I will never watch it because I don't have any care for that universe anymore. It's not. I'm not even angry. I just don't care. It's just rubbish.
And I haven't watched third season of Mandalorian, but apparently that's gone down the fucking.
I only watched half the season of I only watched half of the first season of Mandalorian. I didn't go any further than that. I literally Rise of Skywalker was my I'm done, and that was halfway through Mandalorian. I was like, I'm not watching any more Star Wars. I'm done. And then my housemate convinced me to watch fucking Obi-Wan, and now I'm now I'm definitely never watching.
That was a big mistake.
Yeah. Well, whatever. But so I don't care either way. I'm not going to watch it, but I hope that it's fine. Disney will just do what they do.
Yep. Fine. I mean, Disney's just announced a live action version of Moana.
Okay, they are going back to that animated aren't they? Everything animated will be made.
What the fuck is? I mean, The Rock's obviously going to be in it. He's going to be.
Well, it did do ridiculous money, right, Moana?
Yeah, it did. And I genuinely think it's one of the best Disney
great,
movies
yeah.
I've seen. I love the movie. I think it's way better than Frozen. I think I never quite got the love for Frozen. I think Moana is genuinely great. I don't want to fucking see a live version of it. What's the fucking point? I mean,
what's the point of a lot of their live action stuff?
Yeah, exactly.
They're remaking all of these things live action, and it's like you get to that ludicrous point of we're doing a live action Lion King, and it's it's not live action though because it's all going to be CGI. So there's no live action.
Live action Lilo and Stitch as well. It's
that's another one that was really good. Lilo and Stitch.
Yeah,
that movie's great.
Why? What? Just stop.
Just don't.
Can you not do original anymore? What?
Apparently not. Well, you ask them to do original, and then you end up with Star Wars and.
I guess so.
and Marvel, modern Marvel. It feels like they've run out of all ideas and are creatively bankrupt. So they're just going to remake.
Super Mario is trouncing them.
It's doing very well, apparently. I've not seen it, but it looks fun. And I was always more of a Nintendo than Sega. I love both.
Yeah,
don't panic. I love both. I know, and that's fine. I loved the Sonic movie. I haven't seen the sequel yet, but I will certainly watch Mario. It's
I will when it comes out on the.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like a cinema movie. Cinema's too expensive these days, so I'm like, I'll watch it when it comes to streaming for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, good fun. Anything else?
I think that's it.
Well, we do need to pick a movie.
We do.
Do you have one in mind?
Well, I have a number of ideas.
Okay.
That we could probably discuss off air.
Oh, okay. We're not going to do a. Okay.
Well, I mean, we can discuss it now if you like.
I don't mind either or.
Well, I was thinking we go action.
All right.
Because we just did comedy and we just did
horror,
sort of weird horror.
Mm-hmm.
So I was thinking maybe action. So I was either thinking something along the lines of. So depending on whether you wanted to go traditional.
You seem hesitant about something. I'm curious now.
I had a couple of ideas.
Okay.
So I was thinking either we go Chinese and go Iron Monkey,
Ooh.
or we just go mental and go Rock or Con Air.
Or Face Off.
Or Face Off, if you want to do Face Off.
I don't know. I always feel like Face Off is like our end game. Face Off, being the best film ever made, feels like it should probably be the last film we ever review. No, I don't know. I always thought like Face Off would be like one we do in person with some beer.
That's a get drunk and
yeah, because it's definitely it's. If you haven't seen Face Off, you owe it to yourself to watch Face Off.
Yeah,
totally. It is one of the best worst movies ever made.
Yeah,
it's incredibly bad, but brilliant. Like I can't even explain how good and simultaneously terrible. They just don't understand how anything works in that film.
No,
like it's amazing. Like it's literally Face Off. That's what the movie is. They take the face off of Nicolas Cage and they put it on John Travolta, and they forget the fact that John Travolta has gorilla hands. It's amazing. But anyway, I think we need to do that with some beers, and we'll do like a watch along of that. So I'd be up for some any of those sounds good, to be honest.
Well, the other idea I did have as well was maybe we should do something animation-y style. So I was also thinking maybe the heavy metal movie.
Oh, that's a solid choice as well.
So those are my sort of,
Ooh, do you have a preference?
I do not. I mean, one of my favourite action movies of all time is Iron Monkey.
It's a great movie.
But I love all the others as well.
Yeah, so. they're all a good time, for sure.
And I'm sure we'll either way, we'll probably do them all in.
Oh, yeah, no, I feel like whenever we come to choices, forks in the road, we're always going to do the other one anyway. It's just a matter of when. Let's have a think about it.
Yep.
Because I'll happily watch any of those at any point, so it's fine. We'll have a think, but it will be one of those movies anyway.
Yeah.
So we will be back next time with one of those films. But until then, stay safe, take care, and we will catch you next time.